Hey noble ones, welcome back to Metatron's Academy. Today I've got a couple of horror stories of when I was a teacher full-time at school. Okay, so the first thing I'd like to say is that I'm sure that most of you will have their own horror stories when you had a horrible or terrible teacher, perhaps when you were a student, and absolutely do share those stories with me in the comments below. But today's video is a little different because of course I had some horrible teacher as a student, but since I did teach in school for a few years, it was a secondary school or high school depending on where you're from, then I do have some horror stories from the inside which might give it a little bit of a different perspective. But today's story is about two specific teachers. So in my school we had a whole team of English teachers and I was the only non-native. So I was non-native, the others, we had two from London, one from Nottingham, one from I believe Edinburgh and one from America. Now the two Londoners were the ones that I'm going to focus on today. One we'll call Mr. H, and the other one, since I can't remember her name to save my life, I'm just going to call her Lady. Mr. H, okay, so this guy was quite young. I think it was like 23 or something like that. Let's just put it this way. When he was off school, so off work, he really liked getting wasted. Now given what you do in your private time, whether you're a teacher or not, you know, it's your thing. You want to go get wasted every day, go get drunk, that's fine, have fun. But perhaps don't do it on a night and stay awake all night and then the day after you need to go to school completely wasted, because I mean, no. Am I making sense here or am I saying something weird? Please let me know what you think. Anyways, what happened is that one morning we knew that he liked partying like really hard, and I remember one morning I was teaching my class, but you have to understand that this school was kind of particular and sometimes classrooms would be connected and only separated by one door. So he opens the door because it was in the room right next to mine and we were teaching, I want to say 16-year-olds probably. So anyways, he comes into the room and says, "Hey Raf, can I talk to you?" So I'm like, "Sure." We go outside and he tells me, "Hey man, I'm really hungover." I'm like, "Are you?" "Yeah." He's like, "I got completely drunk. I don't even remember anything from last night. I did not sleep. I drank like a maniac and now I've got to go to the restroom. I need to throw up. Could you watch my classroom?" So I'm like, yeah, go. So he goes, lucky him, I could do that, you know, open the door and I'm basically in the middle and I can check both classrooms while he was vomiting. But of course, as he comes back, I tell him, "Listen mate, I don't want to be that guy, but you know, if you're sick because you're sick, I'll cover you. It's not a problem, but you need to be presentable when you come to work. I mean, it's a responsibility." You know, I didn't want to be that guy, but on the other hand, it's one of those situations, you know. Now the thing is that this happened on repeat. Like this guy every 15 to 20 minutes had to go throw up and I had to like stop my lesson. It was a mess. And this was just scenario one. But already I'd like to say as a further commentary of future me, looking back, that really I remember talking to him afterwards and I was trying to tell you, "Listen, I don't want to get you fired or anything, but you want to get wasted on a Saturday, so you've got all Sunday to get back to yourself, and then on a Monday when you come to school you need to be in working conditions," because it's, again, that was situation number one, not even the worst. Situation number three is going to be the worst. We'll get there. But for situation number two, it's more of a problem of professionalism. But this is what happened. I was standing at the front door of the school and I could see the end of the corridor. And I see that the guy's there, all the kids are coming out of the classrooms. And then I see this girl, she must have been like 15 or 16, standing right next to him. And then she hugs him and he hugs her back and they stay hugged like that. And I remember looking at him. Now, I'll give you a little context here. Italy is less strict than other countries when it comes to how friendly you can be towards a student, but this is still too much. Like you don't do that. And I remember starting to go because I wanted to go and tell him, "You can't do that, H." But the head consultant saw that before me and I see her like a rocket missile and she's going towards him. I was walking my way and then I like turn around because I'm like, okay, too late, and then she goes to him and she goes, "No, no, 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 no." Gosh, I still remember that. And so like that was like situation number two. Again, I'm not saying that he meant to do anything bad. Let's not get this off track. I think he was just not being professional. I don't think there was anything dodgy happening there, but still, Coming from the guy who just came to work in horrible conditions a few weeks prior, the situation was getting problematic. And then we moved to situation number 3, get ready. But for this one I have to say allegedly. So, one morning, it was like a special day in the sense that it was one of those days when you do mock tests. So we are preparing the students for the final tests that they usually need to get in order to get them certified through, I think it was City and Guilds of London, International English Language certificate that they needed to get. So anyways, I had my classroom, I had given them the exercise. It was like they needed to write, I think they needed to make some kind of essay or composition. And so what I would do, instead of just sitting at my desk, just waiting for them to write for an hour or two, what I would do, I would just open the door and I would stand outside the door. I had my own classroom, major teachers, we all had classrooms named after us, so I was in my name being Raffaello, so Raf is how people normally call me, R-A-F. So my classroom was like R-A-F, and then you had like Michaels, and then you had whatever names, Sarah, I don't even remember, but mine was the coolest because I mean RAF, Royal Air Force. Still, I was just standing there and I was chatting with the other teacher from the opposite room because they were doing the same thing. I think she was from Nottingham or something. And so we were talking, we're like, yeah, so how you doing? You're okay lately and all that. And then we see, it's like 10:30 in the morning, considering the fact that classes usually start at 8 or 8:30. And then I see him storming in from the entrance of the class, considering the fact he was supposed to be there at like 8. So he's like monumentally late. And his conditions, like you could see him, he had these like glowing red eyes. The guy was like completely, I think it was gone, I don't know, he looked like he hadn't slept at all. And I see him walking straight, he doesn't even see us, he's like walking. And this is me, imagine the other teacher doing the same thing, he's walking like this past, and that's how we go. So yeah, this is really nice. And again, I'd like to underline, I had been working with this guy for almost a year. I don't want you to think that there was any possibility that the guy could have been dangerous. He wasn't dangerous. He was just so unprofessional. So when I say allegedly, it's because I don't know if that state in which he came to school that day was due, he got fired by the way after this. I don't know if it was due to him, just his usual lack of sleep, or if he was high. I don't know. That's why I say allegedly. But it did get fired, so... Anyways, I see him walking, and then I see that he keeps going like left, right, he doesn't know where he's going. So I look at him, and I go, H, 4th B, you're teaching 4th grade today. 4th. Like I had to tell him where he needed to go. So anyways, that was the story of Mr. H. Got fired, lost his job. I suppose, I don't know if he went back to London. Let's go to the lady. Second horror story of the second teacher for this discussion we're having. It was this lady. She was also from London. And by the way, this is not an attack on Londoners. I love you. If you're from London, I love you. Freaking love Londoners. It just so happened that these two were teaching in my school. So anyways, new teacher, she arrives, and I remember giving her the tour guide, the headmaster, and all the consultants, and then I was like the senior teacher at the time, so they also wanted me to help out. And we told them, you know, this is Teacher Mike's room, this is our RAF room, RAF, and my room was the best classroom because it was the classroom that had the projector, meaning that it would be the classroom where you could, you know, have your students watch a movie or maybe show some PowerPoint presentation, whatever you wanted. It was like the high-tech room, if you will. So anyways, we were all teaching normally, and I remember that what started happening with this lady is that, and by the way, she didn't speak any Italian, whereas all the other teachers so far, even though they were all English, Americans, they all spoke Italian, but she didn't. Not a huge deal, but it also meant that, I don't know, she didn't really understand Italy and how things happen in another country. Maybe it was her first experience abroad. So she already was having a lot of trouble finding an apartment, like a house. And she found a house and then she got kicked out of the house. I'm not joking. Because, I don't know, she was doing something weird. I don't remember what it was, but she had, yes, that's what happened. So I knew her landlord. Like he was a friend of mine. So he was renting the house to her, and she started like going to his apartment because he was living on the 4th floor and she was renting the basement floor, which was a whole house. And she would go and knock on his door like a maniac, and he would open the door and she would start screaming like, the water is not working. Like, I get it. You want the house to work perfectly. But maybe attitude a little bit. I mean, this is Sicily we're talking about. Regardless, she had a few encounters. I remember him calling me and he's like, hey, what is your school sending me? Because it was a whole contact thing between the school and him. And he was like, well, who did they send? Why is she so angry all the time? She was really angry. Anyways, she was already having these problems up to the point that he actually kicked her out and then she had to find another place. So what happens is that I remember one day I go into my classroom because I had to teach a lesson, and usually I would go like 40 minutes earlier so I could prepare everything, put all my dictionaries on every desk. You know, that's how I liked working. And the classroom the light was turned off. So I just storm in, turn on the light, and there she was, sleeping on one of the desks. Now, I don't remember her name, but let's say it was Karen for a moment. Karen, what's she doing here? So she wakes up and she goes, oh, sorry, I might have dozed off. And I'm like, I've got a lesson to teach. And then she's like, oh no, I'm using this classroom today. I'm like, well, no. I mean, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but this is my classroom. Like, you need to tell me if I'm happy to lend it to you if you need it. Because of the projector, but you need to tell me before because I've already planned everything. I need the classroom in half an hour. Go into an argument, she leaves. So I teach my class. This starts happening like on a daily basis. I will go into my classroom and she will be there. So I had to go and tell the headmaster, I'm like, we need to do something about this. I remember the headmaster having an argument with her, telling her, this is Raf's room, so he has everything planned. You can't just walk in, have your students waltz in and start using the classroom. But why did she do that? She was doing that because I found out that her way to teach English was, wait for it, turn on a movie in English for 2 hours, have the kids watch it, do nothing. I also remember this time that, you know, we had these vending machines right next to the in the corridor, and we would normally get like some chocolate, maybe a coffee, you know, just a nice place where you could hang out with your other teachers, and as you're waiting, maybe there's a little interval. And I remember that we were there, and I was getting my coffee, and then I was also buying I think it was a Mars bars, something like that. Anyways, she was there as well. I would normally offer, I'd be like, would you like some coffee? You have to understand this is specifically a Southern Italian thing, but I would say Italian in general, all Italians. We like offering. Like if I'm eating and you're not eating, I will always tell you, would you like some? Or I'm drinking something, maybe before I drink, would you like some? Like it's a normal thing, that's what we do. Goodness gracious, so I forgot that she was a vegan. So when I offered my caffè macchiato, which is like coffee with a little milk in it, she went completely nuts, like ballistic. She went, I'm a vegan! And we all jumped. And this happened periodically because I would forget. It was like a reaction for me to be like, I have a chocolate in my hand. I know it's a milk chocolate, but I don't think in that moment. I'm just saying, do you like some? And she would, oh my gosh. Moral of the story, she got fired as well. And I believe, if I don't recall wrongly, that she sued the school for firing her and she lost it. Like the school won. Goodness gracious. Anyways, these are my 2 horror stories for today, but I've got plenty more. If you want to hear more, let me know in the comments. And thank you for joining Metatron's Academy.